You are now listening to WSN, Wolf Sports Network, live from the University of West Georgia in Carrollton, now an Odyssey station.
It's season 4 of Sports Outta Pocket.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo, right here. That's a W. How many people want to eat a W tonight?
We bring you the craziest controversies.
What is crazy is like the $4.5 million out of Shohei's pocket is maybe like $100, maybe like $50 to us.
Fire me up.
And I have to go at this Braves offense for not doing a thing in October for the second year in a row.
Twin picks. A lot of quarterbacks can do that.
So 9 interceptions is getting it to
Two
your
straight.
receiver. And interviews you don't want to miss.
This is the Philly sports guy, and you're listening to Sports Outta Pocket.
This is former MLB All-Star Justin Masterson.
Hey, yo, what up? My name is Josh Martinez from Z100 New York.
Sports Outta Pocket is back and better than ever.
Let's go!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Season 4, Episode 4 of Sports Outta Pocket. As always, I'm joined by Steven Lambert and the Twins.
Hey, yo.
How's y'all's week going?
My ears hurt. Where's Steven? I want to see him back. I'm kidding, Jackson. Well, hey, congratulations, Jack. Let's clap it up for Jackson, everybody. I'm so excited, Jackson.
Jackson. I appreciate it.
My week's been good. You know, I've been anticipating this moment, Jackson. I know you're excited, and I'm excited to see what you do. So let's get into it.
They're booing you through the screen there, brother.
Yeah, I know. I was going to ask because it's been mixed emotions for y'all. You had a Falcons loss, but a Braves win.
Okay, well, we're going to get into the Falcons loss later in the show because it's not without some questionable circumstances. Let's just say a referee, a certain referee team decided not to call something that should have been called on Kyle Pitts, but the game's in the past. We played a really good game against Kansas City. I thought that, at the end of the day, the defense played really great. The offense, there's still some kinks. The play calling was a little rough towards the end of the game. That needs to be handled. But, okay, that being said, last night was incredible. Braves were able to pull off the win against the Mets. We're going to talk about that later in the Fire Me Up. I'm excited, except for the weather. But we're going to get into that later.
Screw you, Helen. If your name's Helen out there, I don't even want you watching me right now.
No, that's not true. Please
Again,
stay tuned.
speaking of the Falcons PI, let's get into some controversy.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
We're in here talking about practice.
It's time for the latest sports controversies. Now, I'm an Eagles fan. I'm not a Falcons fan, but I want to ask y'all's opinion on this past week's game, starting with Chase.
You know, me and Andrew were actually there in person, so we saw live firsthand how atrocious this non-call was. Now, they gave you a nice little breakdown. There was 4:30 left to go.
Nice. You have like a whole essay over there.
No, I'm not going to read it. This is just some points that, just keep my brain rolling. But 4:30 left to play in the game. That's where we're standing in the fourth quarter. The Falcons were facing a 3rd and 5 from the Chiefs' 6-yard line. And on the 3rd down play, Kirk Cousins in the pocket. Where's he to go? He sees Kyle Pitts doing a little ace post in the middle of the end zone. He throws it. Kyle Pitts goes for the catch. And then gets bear hugged and thrown to the ground midair. Everybody's looking at the ref. What's he going to do? Incomplete, no flag throw. Now, the stadium erupted. Me and Andrew were screaming in the top of our lungs. We had Chiefs fans all around us.
Chiefs fans.
Oh, yeah, Chiefs fans. By the way, listen.
The local Chiefs fans.
I asked 20 Chiefs fans while I was in attendance, just about, name 3 O-line. I had one person that was able to actually name 3 people in the O-line. That's besides the point. But anyways, everybody's looking around, and we are distraught about this non-call. Now, I don't want to sit here and say that that's why the Falcons lost the game. Because the Lord knows the Falcons still had their chance to win that game, but we couldn't get 1 yard in 2 plays. That's a different round's own. But either way, this was a blatantly obvious call. And had that call been made, we'd have been at the 1 yard line, and we would have easily scored because we scored before on the 1 yard line with the Bijan Robinson touchdown. We would have done the exact same thing. So though that's not why we lost the game, it greatly affected the game.
Now, you do say that we would have scored when it comes to 1
you're
yard.
right. We
Here's
can't
the
get
thing.
1 yard.
We couldn't even get 1
You're
yard
right.
when it comes to Tyler Algier running it straight up the
You're
middle,
right,
and then we had
you
to
know.
do a toss play to Bijan Robinson, which doesn't make any sense. Listen, that entire game was just frustrating to watch, just from a standpoint. First off, like you said, the face mask call wasn't called, and then at the tail end of it, when Kyle Pitts, obviously, the man was hugging him. Like, literally, his arms were around him before the ball even got to where Kyle Pitts could catch it.
And it was
it was as blatant as you could possibly get, and the refs didn't throw the flag for whatever reason. Whether it's just like they actually do have a thing with Taylor Swift or Patrick Mahomes, just like a full love for the Chiefs. I don't know what's going on, but that call needs to be made. It just does. It makes no sense why that call should have been made. It's just bad all around.
I was going to say, if you haven't checked out our latest reel on Wolf Sports Network Instagram, we do a little Taylor Swift and Chiefs and Falcons skit, so make sure to go like that up where our boy Chase Jefferson plays Taylor Swift.
I wasn't Taylor Swift. Can y'all believe we got Taylor Swift on a reel? That was crazy.
Yeah, did that game leave bad blood in your mouth?
Oh, dude, it left a bad taste.
Bad blood in
Can I
your
say
mouth?
something? Before you make your point, Andrew, they asked Trey Blake, one of the leading referees of the game, why did you throw the flag? He said, well, in real time, I didn't see anything. He said, in real time, it didn't look like there was any Blake contact. Are you kidding me?
Hey, listen,
I was up in the top of the stadium, and I saw him play this day. Now listen, and I love Raheem Morris's response to this during the press conference when asked about it. He just goes, "I like my money. I'm not going to say anything," because you know dang well if any NFL coach speaks up about a bad or a missed call done by the referee, they're going to get fined a little amount of money for it. It happens every time. Those refs are protected, and they shouldn't be all the time. Because let's take it back to the week prior when Kansas City was hosting Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals and Burrowhead and how that game ended. Now, I think we can all agree that the PI call that was made in that game was indeed pass interference. Yes. But why was it pass interference? Because the safety made contact on the back of the receiver before the ball was made, got to him. What happened to Kyle Pitts? The two safeties made contact to Kyle Pitts before the ball is even catchable. So how is it on one week and one preference you're going to call that pass interference? Plain as day. But on another week, a completely different game, which I would argue was more blatant than what we saw in Kansas City, doesn't get called at all. The inconsistency cannot happen in the NFL. If this is college football, sure, it's more understandable because, I don't want to say it's more understandable, but at least it's not the pro football league. We're talking about the NFL where things are supposed to be done to a T, and it just doesn't happen. And it happens every single week. But hey, at least the referee got free Taylor Swift concert tickets out of that. Well, what about the game Monday night again between the Commanders and the Bengals? Joe Burrow threw to the corner of the end zone to T. Higgins, and the defender pulled T. Higgins' hands back before the ball even reached him, and that should have blatantly been a defensive pass interference call. And all the fans were like, "Oh, you know why? You know why it was a call? Because we weren't playing the Chiefs. Had it been the Chiefs, oh, flag. So it's like all the fans know that something fishy has to be going on."
Yeah, look, all I got to say about the game as a whole is, first off, okay, the pass interference call, yes, that if we get the ball on the 1 yard line, we're probably going to win that game. Problem is we had a chance. We had the ball back with a few more minutes left, and then the play calling just went out the window. I don't know what was going on. Zach Robinson just made an awful play calling decision. Why are you giving Bijan Robinson a toss play to get past the first yard marker when less than a yard? It makes no sense.
I think someone here might know a little about that.
I know something about toss plays. Are we going to rewind back to the Eagles-Falcons game where Jalen Hurts throws the ball to Saquon Barkley but bobbles it in his hands? Now you know how that feels.
Hey,
now you know how that feels.
Hold on. I was talking about the Falcons and Eagles game. Do you remember when we went for it on 4th and 1 against the Eagles? And what did we do? A counter run. The same thing. It was shotgun. We got on shotgun formation. That's why we handed up the middle to Bijan. So it wasn't the same thing.
Well, let's talk about that.
Either way, we are overcomplicating a 4th and 1. And Zach Robinson didn't see it work Monday. So why did he think it was going to work against the Chiefs? Hold on. Let's talk about that because I think we're looking too close closely into what happened on that fourth and run down, when instead of giving Bijan up the gut to pick up 1 yard, we try to counter his run and bounce it off the outside, which never works when the defensive line is stacking all their corners there. But let's talk about what happened on the third down prior when Tyler Algier, if Tyler Algier ran it up just split up the middle when he had the open gap instead of trying to be like Bijan Robinson and do a little, quick juke move to the left, then he probably would have picked up the first down because, mind you, he was just an inch short because he decided to juke out the corner. Had he just been playing as a true power back, which is his role on that Falcons offense anyways, we would have picked up that first down. So you may be pissed at Zach Robinson. You may be pissed at Bijan, but I am putting my eyes on Tyler Algier because if he plays like a true power back, we get the first down.
Yeah, I didn't like. You're right. He hesitated. He definitely hesitated, waiting for a hole to open up to try and run forward. My whole thing is like, you're powerful enough. I've seen Tyler Algier run
100%.
and be a power back that can just run over defenders and then get the yards that he needs. In that particular instance, he was trying to be more of like a Bijan. He was trying to sit there and like, all right, I'm going to wait for my opportunity. I'm going to wait for a hole to open up. Okay, then I'm going to go. In that moment, you need a yard.
Yeah.
You need to just rush forward for a yard. And to be very honest with you, I thought the spot was a little bit rough. Where the ball placement was at the end of I was like, okay, he wasn't down that far back, but they put us where we are, and I was like, okay, fine, just hand it to Bijan or just hand it to Kirk Cousins for a short pass to Kyle Pitts, whatever else. But don't do a toss play. Don't try and do a play behind the scrimmage when you know the Chiefs are going to be blitzing. It's baffling.
Yep.
It was a baffling call. We need to fix this going forward because that type of play calling in that moment is what's going to not get us to the point to where we want to be as a Falcons fan.
Yep.
We want to make the playoffs, and if we keep making those type of bonehead play calls, it ain't gonna happen.
Right. I wanted to get y'all's opinion on one final controversy before we wrap this segment up. The UNLV quarterback is redshirting the rest of this season after only receiving $3,000 of his $100K promised NIL money. What your opinion is on if you like NIL, if you don't. I just want to get y'all's opinion on this.
So just to quote just so you guys know what's going on. So from the quarterback's perspective, he went out and claimed that he committed to UNLV based on certain representations that were made to him during his recruiting visit, and they weren't upheld after he enrolled. And despite discussions, it became clear that those commitments were not fulfilled. And they said that they weren't going to be fulfilled in the future, and that's when he decided to take a backseat. And you know what? Good for you, kid. Stand up to those NIL promises that were made to you, because if that's why you committed, you should get those promises made.
Speaking of NIL money, let's get in some cash or trash.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
It's Sports Outta Pocket's Cash or Trash.
Now, for this week's Cash or Trash, I had a little thing that I put on the graphic earlier.
Trash.
And I know Cam Ward, right now, is he the leading Heisman finalist Heisman candidate?
As of right now, cash. 100% cash.
I'm
I think I'm going to cash in too.
How is there anybody else that you could put into that conversation? I mean, listen, Shadur Sanders has been playing an incredible season, but he's not Cam Ward. He hasn't been putting up Cam Ward numbers. I mean, he's had an incredible season, but he's not going to win the Heisman.
And there's another guy I want to mention. Again, he's a running back, but for Boise State, Ashton Jaunty. I think that's how you pronounce it.
And I'd say that's a cashew. He's easily the best running back in the nation right now. Everybody thought it was going to be Ollie Gordon, but Ollie Gordon's taking a back seat. Yeah. So let's kind of dive into that real quick, because I think in my opinion, solely my opinion, what makes Cam Ward the favorite over Boise State, and I would also throw in, like you said, Shadur Sanders, Jalen Miro, I think is close to that discussion. He's been playing top-tier football. We're really going to see how much hype he can live up to when they host the Bulldogs in Tuscaloosa.
DJ Uiagalelei has been top-notch.
Maybe on the reverse side of this.
Here's one thing that you can probably go ahead and just notice this now is that Carson Beck ain't going to be winning no Heisman this year, especially at the first few games.
And that's okay.
And how he looked against Kentucky?
As long as we're winning, that's the thing. Is at Georgia as overall, we're playing a team game. That game against Kentucky was my eye-opening thing of just okay, Carson Beck's not going to be a guy that can just take over and just throw for pass after pass and just be a guy that's like a Cam Brown can be. That's just not his game. He's a guy that kind of plays within himself. Cam Ward, not Cam Brown. Cam Ward. I'm tired.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
You know, Steven, I feel like a lot of that blame can be put on Mike Bobo. He is a conservative guy. He doesn't like to open up that playbook.
Very conservative. It's about how what I've noticed about this Georgia play calling is the fact that in the first half, we're very conservative with how we do things. We're not going to sit there and take a lot of shots downfield. We're going to try and run the ball, going to try and establish the run game, but we do it for an entire half. And then in the second half, that's when we start taking shots. That's when we start, those play calls that are, can be a little bit more dangerous, has a potential of getting intercepted. But that's the type of play calling you have to do if you're going to beat in a team like the SEC. I get it. It's Kentucky. Kentucky's not that great, but it's still an SEC road matchup. Yeah. Anytime you're playing an SEC team on the road, they're going to be pulling out all the stops to beat you. And to me, it felt like we just kind of got punched in the mouth in that first half, and we just got out of it. We literally just got out of a huge dogfight.
I wanted to bring up another cash or trash before
I just say one.
Also to add on to that point, if we bring that same mentality going into Alabama, we're going to get killed.
It can't happen. Andrew, I just want to say one quick thing. Another reason why I think that's a cash statement right there is let's talk about Carson Beck and compare him with Cam Ward and what makes him so different. Carson Beck in that Kentucky game, we did see the kind of guy he becomes when he's put under pressure. He makes bad decision making. He makes throwing errors, throw them over receivers, maybe underthrows them a little bit. But Cam Ward, what we've seen all season, especially in that game against USF, he is so calm to the point it looks fake. It doesn't even look like he's out there playing football. It looks like he's out there doing synchronized swimming. And I'm not even joking. I'm being dead set. When pressure is on his back, it's like he knows. Like he has a radar and he knows where his top tier open receiver is, or he knows where his tight end is on the flat, or he knows the open A or B guy that he can run through to pick up 5 or 6 yards. And I think Cam Ward, he's experienced enough. I think he kind of he's familiar with this Hurricane team now, where I think Miami's going to run away. I hate to say it. They're going to win the ACC. Cam Ward's going to win the Heisman.
Why'd you not choose Florida State?
I was going to say, now I know we're on the conversation of college QBs. I want to switch over to NFL QBs. And I know you guys had this Twin Picks last episode on what 2-0 teams are playoff contenders between the Buccaneers and Bills. But I want to bring up another team, the Minnesota Vikings. We see how well Sam Darnold is doing in the offense with Justin Jefferson. Not to mention, Jordan Addison has been injured, and guess who's coming back in Week 7?
TJ Hawkinson?
TJ Hawkinson. Wrong TJ.
That's a wrong TJ.
I wanted to get cash or trash on this. Will the Vikings be a playoff contender heading into late in the season? Will this continue on?
I'm cashing in all the way. You know what I love about Sam Darnold is his confidence. After this previous win, he was in the locker room and he was saying, Jets, why did y'all cut me?
He's not seeing ghosts anymore.
Yeah, I don't know where the ghosts went, but he's not seeing them anymore.
He
was saying, why did y'all cut me? Why did y'all cut me? He said, I told you I was here. And you know what? And a lot of Vikings fans that I know were saying that the receiving core is making him look better. I don't think that's the case.
I think it's Sam Darnold's decision making.
Sam Darnold is out here and he is using his weapons to his advantage and he is playing like a dog. He is running this offense like a well-oiled machine and he knows the ins and outs of this Viking offense just 3 weeks in. This is a dangerous offense.
Let me also shout out the Vikings defense has been playing incredible. The D-line for the Vikings has been getting a lot of pressure, especially, for somebody who has C.J. Stroud in his fantasy team. I mean,
last week.
My goodness. I mean, they were getting so much pressure on him and he was just making so many bad decisions in the pocket, and he was just, he wasn't getting any receivers open. He was trying to rely on Stephon Diggs a lot. They had such a plan for Nico Collins too. They were having him double covered, and he just couldn't get open. It just all around, this Vikings team feels like a team that can make a deep run in the playoffs. Especially, I'm going to shout him out because he went to high school with me.
Okay.
Jonathan Grenard, who was the defensive player of the week, he had 3 sacks for this Vikings team. Who, by the way, he used to play for the Texans, so the Texans didn't re-sign him, and he went to the Vikings, and he just put on an absolute show against his former team. So shout out to him. And he's the main reason, one of the main reasons why the Vikings won that game.
The Vikings lost a lot on defense this offseason, but they've made it up with, like you said, a huge pickup like that, where their pass rush has been insane. Look what they did at Brock Purdy. Purdy was making all his kind of mistakes because of the pressure the Vikings put him under. Now, can I talk? Thanks, Chase. Anyways, and I do want to say, you you were to ask me that a week ago, Jackson, I probably would have said trash because they played a depleted 49er team
without McCaffrey.
Exactly, and I would have maybe overlooked that win, but then seeing how they absolutely depleted, like you said, Steven, the Texans held that receiving core and that quarterback to just 7 points. I'm cashing in now. You know what? I gotta say, shout out to you, Ezekiel Jacobson. He's one of my best friends. Came from Minnesota. I was wrong about Sam Darnold preseason. I was very low on him because of his past in New York. But Justin Jefferson, he hasn't changed. He hasn't missed a single beat. And Sam Darnold's been all over that guy.
I'm putting all my cash in on this. Speaking of the Vikings depleting the Texans offense, you want to know what's crazy? That Texans defense couldn't do anything. And they have a defensive-minded head coach. Remember where DeMeco Ryans came from? The 49ers. He was the defensive coordinator over there. Led them to multiple playoff bursts. So that's what surprises me about this Vikings offense. Do I think it's, I take my own take, it's cash.
Yeah.
My own take is cash. I didn't even say if it's cash or trash.
My pick is trash. How much time do you have left? Because I have a quick cash or trash.
I do too. So yeah, we have 2 minutes.
Okay, so this can be really quick because we already kind of touched on this last week, but I kind of want to make this a little follow up because I think it's gonna be kind of fun. Guys, I want to ask you this: Andy Dalton's performance, does that prove that the problem in Carolina was more on Bryce Young than it was on the Panthers?
No.
Trash.
No, listen, I don't think it's Bryce Young's fault. I genuinely believe that it's the situation he was put in. Don't get me wrong, Andy Dalton put on a show. He played great. I think that's going to be their quarterback for the rest of the year. I don't think Bryce Young sees the football field again this year. It's going to have to be with another team if he's going to get another opportunity in the NFL.
Who's without Tua.
All the proof was right there. Sam Darnold, look at him with the Jets. Now look with the Vikings. It's the same thing right here. Put Bryce Young in a better environment. I promise you he's thriving. I promise.
Yeah.
I'm trashing my own statement. I just want to see what you guys say.
All right, so just real quick, listen, the Houston Astros, once again, they've won their division. They're going to the playoffs. Now, they have a current streak going on. I think they've made the ALCS for, what is it, four straight years. Does that happen again this year? It's a tight AL race this year. Yeah. There's a lot of good teams. I mean, you have Kansas City, you have the Yankees, you have Baltimore. I mean, this is not going to be an easy route for the Houston Astros, but do you think they're going to make the ALCS?
Now, we had a lot of conversations about this summer, and I know you guys mentioned on our other podcast, Dinger Dudes, by the way, that getting rid of Dusty Baker, who was the glue of that team, the Astros had a lot of ups and downs.
Yes.
Speaking of that, we're going to get into that soon. Yeah. But the Astros had a lot of ups and downs. There was injuries across the board, across that starting pitching rotation, but they've looked fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Ever since putting all that together. So what I'm seeing with Baltimore, it could be Baltimore Astros, and I don't trust that Yankees lineup at all when it comes to the playoffs. So I'll take cash, Steven.
No,
I'm going to take cash.
I'm not going to do cash or trash. I think I'm going to hold out on buying that stock for a minute, and it's mainly because of what Jackson said. I think because the difference between this Houston Astros team and the last four we've seen in the prior years is that the Astros were dominant all season long. We've seen this Houston Astros team have to fight through adversity, and they've had to make one heck of a second half push to get them into October, and just like we've seen with the Braves, that can kind of wear a team out. And I feel like without Dusty Baker, we all know that the playoffs are a different beast. Just ask the last year Atlanta Braves; they're a completely different beast. And I don't know if this inconsistency we've seen with Houston is going to be able to propel them against teams like Baltimore, who have had their experience in the postseason last year and have made the necessary adjustments. And then the Yankees, who you always can't trust the Yankees, but at the same time, seeing what Aaron Judge has done this year. So I'm going to say I'm going to hold on that statement. Have you seen who's been going off for the Astros? Jason Hayward.
Yeah.
Have you seen what he's done recently?
Veteran leadership, man. Sometimes that happens. Also, Andrew, I think you're wrong. They've made the ALCS every year since 2017.
Exactly.
Oh, so more than 4 years?
Exactly. Long time, brother.
I think they've won the division 4 years in a row, and that's what I got mistaken on.
Yeah, they've made the ALCS since 2017. Okay. So this is, I don't know, what is it, like their 8th year doing it in a row? Yeah. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go ahead and cash this out because I think the Astros, I think we're going to see a rematch of 2017. I believe it was 2017 with the Astros and the Yankees.
Yeah, 2017.
So I feel like that's what we're going to see in the ALCS, and I think the Yankees are going to pull it off.
What about the Guardians? We forgot about the Guardians, man.
Listen, man, the Yankees, just the power is going to come through. Ooh. The Paw Patrol curse is over.
I'm giving it cash.
Speaking of ups and downs, we're going to get into a quick song break, and right after that, we're going to be going into some fantasy football, and I know we have a lot to talk about that.
This is former MLB All-Star Justin Masterson, and you're listening to Sports Outta Pocket on Wolf Sports Network.
Because this isn't
It's not
the
the
end.
end.
No,
it's not the end at all.
It's just the beginning.
And this is just the beginning of Triple Threat, taking it live on the airways. So get ready to hear our takes.
Pimento cheese sucks.
And debates and much more.
In college, what made Johnny Manziel so electrifying, how he got those big plays, was he would snap the ball, wait for the play to break down, and then make the play.
So catch us live on Fridays at 11, only on Wolf Sports Network.
Listen to me now. Kirk Cousins is more valuable in fantasy than Jalen Hurts.
What are you talking about? You are dead wrong. It's time for some fantasy football. Now that statement and that stager is looking true right now, but I want to say 3 words. You want to know what those 3 words are? Steven, Chase, and Christian, welcome to the show. What are those 3 words?
You tell us.
3 and I am the only team in this league who's 3-0. And 3 out of the 4 of us won this week. I'm going to give it to Christian first. How do you think your fantasy team did this week?
My team is doing good. It did great, actually. Super Hound Zach Moss. A couple of things real quick for you guys. As far as picks go this week, Zach Moss is projected to be a top 10 running back in the league. If you want some waiver wire, not running back in the league, but running back in fantasy for week 4 because he's going up against an easy matchup. If you guys want 3 quick waiver wires that you should have already picked up, but if they're still available, go ahead and grab them. Steele, of course, Carson Steele from the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know how. I lost my mind. Steven needs to trade for Bucky Irving. Oh, my goodness. Bucky Irving is getting more handoffs and more attempts than Rachaad White, and he's averaging, I think, over 7 yards a carry, something insane. And last but not least, Jahan Dotson. Go Eagles.
Well, Jahan Dotson is taking place of Devontae Smith right now, considering that A.J. Brown is coming back this week, correct?
Yes.
I want to talk about another receiver who happened to drop 29 points on my team last week, who carried me to a win to Triple Threat and Sports Packs John Howie, Mr. Rashee Rice. And I say this week from week. Brendan tried to trade for Rashee Rice before the season started. I said no. I believe in Rashee Rice because he was almost a 1,000-yard receiver playing half those games. And I continue to have him on my team, and I've gotten a lot of calls. A lot of my phone's been buzzing for Rashee Rice. And I'm feeling great this week. I feel great this week because I'm playing one of the worst teams in the league. Shout out Aiden.
Hey, come on now.
So 4-0.
We love you, Aiden.
4-0. But Chase, how do you feel about your team?
So, Jackson, I lost to you first week,
You
and
did.
your
And I
team
beat
played
him too.
great, and my team was very, very underwhelming.
fell
But I
apart that
wasn't
week.
nervous. I trust the team that I drafted, and now look, 2 games in a row. I beat Steven. I beat Gavin. Shout out to Gavin. We all love and miss him. He's still here, by the way. He didn't die or anything. But anyway, it's my point. But I'll tell you one player who has changed my team completely, and a lot of people weren't out. He was a very, very late round pick for me, and that's J.K. Dobbins for the LA Chargers. Now, the reason people weren't high on him was because he's made of glass. He doesn't have a good history of staying healthy, but I knew that if he stayed healthy, he was bound to get a lot of carries. Because look at the season before he got injured. He had carries aplenty, and I knew that was going to be the same case for him this year, considering he stayed healthy, and he has been unbelievable, getting me 131 rushing yards with the touchdown last week to help me beat Gavin. He's been unbelievable.
Now, Steven, I know you took the loss this week, but how are you feeling heading into this week being 1-2?
My team sucks and I'm mad as heck. My team is horrible. Okay, so here's how things are happening right now. Michael Pittman is just not it right now. He's not. Alec Pierce is getting more targets than Michael Pittman. And obviously, okay, here's the thing. Michael Pittman actually did get a pretty good amount of targets this week, but they weren't for a lot of yards. I think he got 4 receptions for about 33. So he's not getting any red zone. That's going to Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's getting all the red zone production for the Colts right now. And then not a lot of confidence going into this week because they're going up against that Pittsburgh defense, who's just been probably, as far as I look at it, they're the best defense in the league to this point in the season. So that it's not going to look great. I don't think Anthony Richardson's going to be doing any passing. I think they're going to try and rely on Jonathan Taylor a lot going up into this week. So Michael Pittman's just not going to be a guy that put up a lot of production.
No.
I need a receiver.
I have a question for you. Do you think that a lot of Michael Pittman's downfall is because of AR-10, Anthony Richardson, who's
That's
not,
the funny thing.
He has not been the best.
He's not been getting. He doesn't have that relationship with Anthony Richardson right now.
Yeah.
He had it last year
with
was it Minshew? Who was it?
It was Minshew.
Last year after
Minshew,
AR went down,
he had that connection with him. Pittman was putting up amazing numbers at the end of last year. So I was thinking, okay, number 1 receiver, obviously that's a guy that you're going to rely on, and Anthony Richardson just hasn't been. He's been relying on Alec Pierce. I mean, he's been relying on Adonai Mitchell. He's been giving him the receptions. But Michael
Mitchell
Pittman
scored 0 points last week.
Okay, but in the previous week he was getting previous week he has
Alec
been. This
Pierce.
Past week
he mentioned Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce had 2 receptions, and both of them were for big yardage, but he only had 2 receptions.
Yeah.
Here's the one thing that I am actually looking forward to this week. Jaden Reed has Jordan Love again. And Jaden Reed and Jordan Love have that strong connection. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on, like whether they're just like best friends or whatever else, but Jaden Reed seems to be Jordan Love's guy. So I have a lot of confidence going into this week that Jaden Reed's going to be putting up the numbers that I desperately need at the wide receiver position. Breece Hall's been consistent with me, so even with Rashad White having that lack of production at the running back, Breece Hall's always going to be putting up 18, 20 points. It depends on if I have Breece Hall for that long, though, because there might be a trade happening sooner rather than later.
You mean on air? I think we should make this.
There could be.
I don't know if I can make it live right now. I still got to look at the numbers.
Steven.
Yo, hush. No, I'm not going to be pressured.
Well, you know, me and Chase also have looked at
Yes, Christian,
picking,
we
too.
have.
We have. And I want to show you guys, you know, with me, when I do fantasy, it's like business. You know, I let you know what I'm looking for and what I need, and you let me know what you need, and we try and make something happen.
Are you putting all your chips in on Jaden
Basically,
Reed?
here's
On
what
Jaden
I'm
Reed?
thinking. Dude, Amon-Ra St. Brown does look. I do think Amon-Ra St. Brown does fit in with my team, and like to get him, Breece Hall is definitely going to have to get off of my team. So obviously, we're looking at deals. There was a deal that we talked about earlier that seemed to be nice. So I definitely need a wide receiver right now because I only have Tank Dell, Michael Pittman, and Jaden Reed, who just haven't been putting up the numbers for my team that I've needed. So also, here's the thing. I have Darnell Mooney starting this week.
Yep.
He's been amazing with the Falcons so far. He's been he's been, in my opinion, one of the best pickups we had in the offseason. And he's just been showing off just every week, especially 8 targets, 8 receptions for 66 yards in this past game against Kansas City. And that's Kansas City. That's not a defense you sleep on. That's a really good secondary that Darnell Mooney still had a lot of production against.
So, Steven, you need a receiver. I'm gonna name a player. I don't know how you feel about him, but I know how you might feel about him. But let me explain. Amari Cooper is a player I don't know how to feel about. It depends on Deshaun Watson because his targets are there. He has not got any less than 8 targets all year.
Amon-Ra St. Brown over Amari Cooper.
Obviously,
Yeah,
but I just
sorry.
mean like
Sorry,
as like
buddy.
a baby. I mean like as a smaller trade package, not to amount of. But he did get 28 last week.
But speaking of Amon-Ra St. Brown, I've already booked my ticket to go to Ford Field to watch the Lions play later this season. You know what else deals with tickets? Let's get into the lottery.
With the first pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs select.
This is the lottery.
Now, if y'all are new to the show and don't know how the lottery works, we give players, teams, games that we are high and low on. Who would we put our chips in, or will we fold? Starting off with Steven Lambert. Who is your lottery pick?
Oh, man. So, okay, sorry. Whoa, I was way close to the mic there. If I had to, I'm just going to go ahead and go with baseball here. There is a team that I'm very high on going into the playoffs, and unfortunately, it's a team that we're facing after the Mets. The Kansas City Royals. Here's the thing. This is just me. They might not even make the playoffs. They're still in a race of their own. Detroit's sitting right there, close to them. They're only like a half game back. But if Kansas City's able to get into the playoffs, I'm such a fan of them. Listen, Bobby Wood's been incredible this year. Seth Lugo's been like one of the best pitchers in the league this year for them. Will Smith has some magic apparently because for back-to-back years, Will Smith has a World Series ring. And if they could pull it off for a 4th straight year with Will Smith, I don't know somebody's got to pick up Will Smith next year because he just has this magical aura about him. I don't know, like sprinkle some Disney magic. But
Disney magic.
So yes, I'm gonna go ahead in the playoffs. I'm gonna be high on the Kansas City Royals.
Some G.I. Jane magic.
You know, this is the best Royals team that I've personally seen since 2015 when they had Johnny Cueto, Lorenzo Cain, still have Salvador Perez, but Salvador Perez, who was the World Series MVP.
And even him, he's had a great season too.
He's had a resurgence.
He's still hitting homers.
He's 34 years old too, and he's still putting that much production behind the plate.
And
it's
his
insane.
framing is unbelievable. Isn't that right, Andrew? If you know, you know. Throw back to Dinger Dudes. Remember we got in that argument about Salvador Perez?
Is it in Adley Rutschman?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Look. It's
if you know, you know.
Dinger Dudes. But yeah, I think if Kansas City's able to get in, listen, I'm not saying they're gonna win a ring, but I do think that they have the potential to. They have a potential to like get to the World Series.
Yes. I mean, we saw last year with the Arizona Diamondbacks, they got hot at the right time. And regular season, again, when you head into the playoffs, you said this multiple times before, Steven, it doesn't matter about the regular season.
It don't matter
it's
about
done,
none.
It's done. It matters how you perform in the playoffs.
They take it from 2023, Steven. Listen, we're talking like 107 wins or however many wins we had for the Braves last year, having the best offense that baseball's ever seen. And then as soon as we hit the playoffs, none of it mattered. Not a single bit of it, because nobody's going to remember that. Nobody's going to remember how you tied the record for most home runs in a season. Unless you're going to be performing in October, that's when it matters.
Yep.
And you can be horrible throughout the entire year. If Detroit gets into the playoffs and if their offense, then they're going to be remembered as a team. It just matters about winning that ring.
They had a resurgence, and what's crazy, in their last 50 games, they are 36-14.
You know what this reminds me of? The Washington Nationals World Series team. Remember, this is a similar resurgence that they had.
Unfortunately, I do.
Sneaking into the wild card, and then they went on their World Series run. And this is a similar path that we'll see from the Detroit Tigers.
I definitely agree with Steven, though. I am also extremely high on Bobby Witt Jr. right now. Coming into the MLB season this year, he was actually ranked, and a lot of people had him as the best hitter in the league, and right now he has the highest batting average at .335. So just playing out of his mind, and I'm gonna be honest, Brave fan, you guys might have to be a little worried.
I am worried.
Now, that's the thing, is that we're gonna get into this and fire me up, but the Braves have just gotten put into a deeper hole than we already are. So we're gonna talk about that in the next segment. You're not gonna want to miss fire me up, because we're gonna be ticked off.
Never want to miss fire me up.
So I have a quick little cash or trash, and we're actually shifting to
lottery.
I'm at lottery. I'm sorry, and we're switching to college football. A team that I am very high on, and I've heard a lot of talk going around, and it's the Fighting Illini of Illinois, and how unbelievable.
I'm so glad you didn't say Illinois.
Thank goodness.
That would have made me mad.
I'm sorry. The good old city, or the good old state of Chicago,
Listen,
Illinois.
All Illinois did was just beat that Patrick Mahomes wannabe. That's all he did.
You know how they did it? And I'm telling you, this is the best part about this team. They probably have the best secondary in college football. They average 2 interceptions per game, 7 interceptions through 4 weeks. And I'll tell you, you know what solidified me that this team is legit? They are in Nebraska. When that place is filled, Schrader said it many times, it becomes the second most populated place in that state.
Do y'all remember the volleyball
games?
How packed out that stadium can get, and then just how rowdy it can get?
Let me tell you, this is a tough environment. They went to overtime against this team, and Illinois got ball first, and they scored with ease. And now it's Dylan Raiola's turn to tie it up in overtime, and that pass rush locked him down. It's not only because he was pressured, it's because that secondary had everyone on clamps. They know how to defend well. They play press coverage so extremely well that they can do cover one, and you can leave it man to man because they are going to have him locked down, and that makes this team a Big Ten sleeper. And they play Penn State this week in Penn State, and I would not be surprised if they pull off an upset. I'm saying that right now.
Oh, piggybacking off of another college football team that I'm high on, that a lot of people are high on, really quick, is just the Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, man, honestly. So, though they might not be great, and though obviously they're not going to win anything big this season, do not be surprised if they come in and upset a couple of teams. You don't remember, what was it, almost 10 years ago? Almost 10 years ago, Georgia Tech did upset Georgia. I think it was 2015. So, they are strong. All they need to do is get their offensive line back right.
That's it.
The Georgia Tech, they're called the Yellow Jackets. But for this next segment, you won't need your jacket because we're going to get fired up after the song break. We'll be right back.
Hey, yo, what up? My name is Josh Martinez from Z100 New York, and you're listening to my dudes from the Sports Outta Pocket on the Wolf Sports Network.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Steven with Sports Outta Pocket. If y'all are listening to us on YouTube, obviously we're, no music, copyright for reasons. But if y'all are wanting to listen to the music that we have playing, it's fire. 1,000 miles. Come on. Y'all are going to want to go over to wolfsportsnetwork.com and listen to the radio link there. So go ahead, tune in, and we will be right back. The West Georgia Wolves are coming back home after a tough road trip when they face the 0-5 North Alabama Lions, and they're looking to make a statement. West Georgia faces their former rival as Rajes Mosley's looking to run the ball with success, and Davin Winer's looking to dial up another incredible pass. Wolf Sports Network has you covered with the pregame tailgate show, starting a few hours before kickoff. Tailgate sponsored by Dine West. All your meal needs at westga.edu/dinewest. And PrintPack. Deliver more value to your business located at printpack.com.
I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood. This is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
Fire me up.
Now we know it. We apologize about that. Now we know it is fall time, but we need to get fired up. Now, me personally, I'm not a Braves fan, and I'm a Cardinals fan, and we're already eliminated from this season's post-season.
Poor Chip Carey.
So, I'm going to pass it on to Steven, Andrew, and Chase about these next couple
You want to know
games
how
coming
angry I am right now? I just got lost in the moment, forgot to turn the mics back on, but look. Here's what's going on right now. Okay, if y'all are not keeping up with the news, the Atlanta Braves games have been canceled for the next 2 nights. So unfortunately, that means we're going to have to play a doubleheader with the New York Mets on Monday. So we have a game.
Screw you, Helen!
Yeah. So we're playing the Kansas City Royals this weekend. We have a game, I believe it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the Kansas City Royals. Yep. 3-game series. And listen, if we lose 2 out of 3 against them into that doubleheader, we're done.
Yes.
So we have to win 2 out of 3 against the Kansas City Royals, which is already tough. I just said how high I was on this team.
Yeah. Yep.
So if they come in this weekend and they absolutely kill us, then we're done. And so here's the thing. I don't know what our pitching matchup's going to be now because we have our pitching matchup set up for the next 2 nights. It was Chris Sale and Max Fried going against the Mets. It was great. It was perfect. We had what it is. But of course, that didn't work out. And now we're going to have to go for a doubleheader against the Mets on Monday. And now I'm stressed out because we had everything set up how we wanted it to. Michael Harris, this lineup that was so hot, is now going to be gone for 2 nights.
Very quick. You should be stressed out for when going into that Royals matchup because guess who they have pitching?
Oh,
Seth Lugo.
Well, here's the thing. You mentioned this as well. If the Braves do well against the Royals, and then we go into Monday and we do well against the Mets, and we make the playoffs, we gotta travel to San Diego that night, and then play the next day. You know how exhausting this is going to be, and not to mention we have to take a 2-day break now before we play that important season. Like it's just you're right. What we had so perfectly set up is ruined.
It's stuff. It's like everything that has gone wrong with the Braves this year has just been so out of our control with injuries, and now weather doesn't even like us anymore. Nope. The baseball gods have just sat there and looked at the Braves and went, no, you're not doing anything this year. It's not you. It's going to be somebody else. Because, oh my gosh, if I have to – here's the thing that's going to break my heart as a Braves fan. Watching the Mets and the Phillies go into October – and then if they might have success, I might have to listen. If I have to see a Mets and Phillies National League Championship Series in my lifetime,
I'm not watching. Please no. And
I'm gonna cry. I'm going to break down in tears. It's just so bad for all Braves fans right now because it's. Listen, everything was set up after last night. I mean, we were all euphoric. I mean, Michael Harris is playing out of his mind, man.
And let's talk about let's take like you said, Steven. We must have taken a bite out of the forbidden fruit, during the offseason. Something to go completely
2021.
sideways.
I feel like we just made the deal, and then
the postseason.
It was that. It was just like, we won 2021. Now you don't get it.
We got deceived. We got deceived.
It's 1995 all over
again.
And
now here we are. Okay, and we're not even taking the division title with us. We're in unfamiliar territory, having to sneak into October through the wild card. But let's kind of set up what else is going on in that race right now, because you got the Diamondbacks who just got annihilated by the Giants last night, and they're needing a quick push before they drop in the wild card standings. Then you look over at the Padres right now, who are just a game and a half out from stealing the NL West from the Dodgers. By the way, did y'all see that game-ending triple play last night?
God.
That was unbelievable. So they had the wild card spot locked up. But mind you, you're talking about going to San Diego. What if in some crazy world the Padres do sweep the Dodgers, take that division, and instead of going to San Diego,
we gotta go to LA.
We gotta see Freddie Freeman and Ohtani.
I'm just saying,
there's no way that happens.
This could get from bad to completely worse.
Dude, it's a lose-lose situation.
It is. It really is.
Dodgers?
The Padres are nothing to sleep on. The Padres have been the hottest team in the last month of the season.
And so another thing to pay attention to is the Mets. Now that the Mets can't finish this series, they're going to go to Milwaukee, and this weekend they got to play a 3-game series in Milwaukee. However, Milwaukee just clinched their division. So what is Milwaukee really playing for? Absolutely nothing. Right. This is bad news.
I was going to bring this up in lottery. Milwaukee.
Hold on.
Lottery. William Contreras.
William Contreras.
That's Italian.
William Contreras.
We're getting flagged.
Anyways,
I'm telling you, because I suck at accents.
I'm saying I'd be scared of this Milwaukee team. Like they played.
They're going to rest starters. They're about to rest starters.
They already had Brandon Woodruff out for the season, and then mid-season, Yelich out for the season.
Here's the thing.
I hate to say it as a Cardinals fan.
Well, that's the thing. Here's what's so crazy about the Brewers right now. I have confidence against any team we play. I really do. Yeah. If we can get into the dance, and the reason I have confidence is because of our pitching rotation.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
You have to. You're not seeing Bryce Elder this year. Okay. You're not seeing Charlie Morton in the first 3 games. No. Okay. Obviously, Spencer Strider's out for the year, and that sucks. But you're seeing the Cy Young winner in Chris Sale for Game 1, and then in Game 2 you're seeing the rookie phenomenon, or you could see Max Fried, who's just nails when it comes to the postseason. He can get into that mode. If we can see Max Fried in that mode in Game 2, good luck trying to hit him. And then the rookie phenomenon in Schwellenbach, who's just come into this season and just been phenomenal, the guy that we've needed, especially in that game last night against the Mets. He's just been that guy all year, and he pitches with so much confidence. So those 3 guys going from games 1, 2, and 3, I don't care who offense it is. I don't care even if you're LA, this phenomenal offense that just hits everybody. You go up against those 3 guys, give us a shot. Give us a chance.
And
that's how it is.
I was going to say, before we wrap up this show, I wanted to ask the three of y'all real quick. Due to these unfortunate circumstances with the weather, how much do you think this depletes y'all's chances at the playoffs?
It's a lot because, like Steven mentioned it before, how this completely throws off the starting rotation that we had pitch perfectly set up to give us that potential sweep against the Mets after what we saw Schwallenbach did in Game 1.
Snicker has a decision to make because now it's like, okay, Kansas City is also a very important matchup. Yeah. Do we go ahead and pitch Chris Sale, Max Fried, and then Morton, and then we just have to go in the Mets with a Schwallenbach again, Schwallenbach and who would be left? If Reynaldo Lopez won't be back, who else?
Because we can't push Sale because
we might. Do you understand that we might have to see
a game?
Holmes
pitch. Game.
Holmes pitching game 1 with the Mets.
Remember what happened last time we saw that? We blew a lead to Cincinnati because the bullpen didn't hold up.
Dylan Lee.
And let's talk about the bullpen for a little bit because you want to talk about how narrow of a postseason run we're in right now. Just let's go back a couple days, or not a couple days ago. It's more so a week ago when we hosted the Dodgers at home, and we had some of those games. We had the lead locked up heading to the final innings, and then we had bullpen pitchers like Dylan Lee, Pierce Johnson, Jesse Chavez in some cases,
Aaron Bummer.
Blow those leads. And then you saw the same thing in Philadelphia. So what's going to happen?
In Colorado.
We played that series in Colorado. What's going to happen in a must-win game against New York?
This situation right here is why it just doesn't make any sense. Why we didn't in the moment, so we could have called them up for them to be playoff eligible. AJ Smith-Shawver still in AAA. Yeah. Ian Anderson is still in AAA. They're like, listen, don't get me wrong. Are they doing that great? No, but AJ Smith-Shawver had a start against the Cubs this year that I was like, okay, if that's the guy that we're seeing all year, that's the guy that can sit there and be a slot in the 5th rotation. I just don't understand why we didn't make any of those moves, and now we're going to have to be in this situation where we're going to have to probably pitch a bullpen game.
We need it.
And it's in a moment to where all of these games matter. Like, if we lose 3 out of these next 5 games, we're done. We're cooked.
That bullpen game would be the second game of the doubleheader. That could be the biggest game of the year, and it's going to rely on that bullpen. Who has blown leads this year?
Again, for these bubble teams, this season is winding down and running out of time. Speaking of running out of time, unfortunately, this is all the time we have for today's episode. Stay tuned next week. We are going to have a special interview with Colton Griffin of the UWG basketball team. You don't want to miss that. But for Steven, Andrew, and Chase, thank y'all so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
Screw you, Helen.